Hi everyone, today I'm giving you a quick tutorial about how to use AnamorphicTool OFX plugin for Davinci Resolve. So in this plugin suite, there are two main plugins which are Anamorphic Utility and Anamorphic FX. Anamorphic Utility is mainly used for correction, so it can be applied to any anamorphic lens shoot footage. And for the correction, so this should be applied in the first node of your footage, just like where you do your noise reduction. You have to apply it before the color grading. And for Anamorphic FX, this one should be applied after your color grading node. So this one is mainly used to add artificial characters to simulate vintage anamorphic lens. So this will give you some simulated vintage characters such as smearing, uh, chromatic aberration, etc. So yeah, let's start with the first one, Anamorphic Utility. So the installation should be very simple and straightforward. For Windows user, you just run the exe installation file, and for Mac users, you will run pkg file for the installation. After installation, you open Davinci Resolve and go to color page. In the color page, in the effects library, you will find the effects called Anamorphic Utility and Anamorphic FX. So when you first time using it, you will need to activate it using license. You can trial without the license. You're just going to see the watermark. So for the first time users, you need to expand the license group and input your license key, validate the key, and activate. So one key can be used on two computers at the same time. You also have control to remotely deactivate other machine. When you click show my seats, it will show like other machines activated. You can deactivate remote seat. So let's start with the features of the utility. There are three main features. The first one is Anamorphic Sharpen. So Anamorphic Sharpen, I would consider is more like a correction tool, not like traditional sharpen tools. So no matter how sharp your anamorphic lens is and how high resolution your camera is, the footage always suffer from horizontal or x-axis resolution loss due to the D-squeeze, which stretch your pixels in the x-axis. So I would consider it as a correction tool that it can compensate the sharpness lost during the D-squeeze process, and the effect is very subtle but very effective. I would recommend anyone to try it, and I set the default strength to 1.35. The look, I would say, is very organic. It just make it looks more natural because normally the footage will have a difference in the sharpness between horizontal and vertical. It's hard to see from the recording, but I would definitely recommend you to try. Trust me, when you try it, after you try it, you will always like to apply it to any anamorphic footage. And the second part, is very importantly, is the anamorphic edge compression. So this tool is mainly used to correct traditional swimming or fishbowl effect, which appears in many vintage anamorphic lens in wide angle, especially like Kowa, or for modern anamorphic lens like Blazer, Ramus. it appears strong swimming look in Ramus and Kato line, especially on the wider range, like the 35, 45 mil, even 65 mil appears a lot of some swimming look that can make your footage look dizzy when you have some movement in your footage. So here I will demonstrate how to use it. So right here I have a footage shot on baby cover 2x with 50mm taking lens. So take a look at the original footage. It's a handheld panning shot. It appears strong swimming effect in the edge of the footage. So what actually caused it is because in the edge areas, it has stronger squeeze ratio, more than 2x, like 2.5x for example, and stronger compression, we call it over compression at the edge, will cause the footage look like feel like looking through a fishbowl and will make people feel very dizzy. So the goal to fix it is to decrease more at the edge, and it has to transition well so that it will correctly fix it. And so that's how I initially designed this plugin for. So it will provide a very easy way to fix it. First, you can turn on the grid line to show like what impact range currently it is. And there are only 3 parameters: strings, range, and edge bias. So strings is how much to stretch it, and the range is percentage of the frame being impacted, and the bias is used to control the transition, because usually well, it is more compressed at the very edge, and there's some certain fall off areas have a different ratio. I would recommend just start as using the preset like low here. Now let's replay the footage again. We can see it already looks pretty good, but looks like the edge is slightly over corrected. So we can just tune down the strings a little bit. Now let's try again. I think that's it. It looks very good compared to original footage. So the goal of the plugin is not to correct it 100%. You can definitely do it in the studio scene, like shooting to a grid chart. But it provides a very easy way to fix it without need to shoot in the studio grid chart. I have some other sample footage you can take a look at. I have some other footage to look at the effect. I would recommend you to give a try, especially if you are using Blazor Ramus or Kato or vintage scope like Koa. And last feature is Anamorphic Alignment. It is very useful for DIY anamorphic users who like to use scope. It happens a lot that the scope is a little bit misaligned during the shoot. You can correct it easily with this plugin. Hope you like it. So next, I want to briefly introduce how to use Anamorphic FX. I'm going to start with use logic based on 2 main scenarios. instead of going through each parameters. Each parameters are very straightforward and self-explanatory. But most importantly, there are two scenarios you need to use this plugin. One is when your footage does not have extra room on the side, like when you're shooting spherical lens or an anamorphic lens like under 1.33 squeeze ratio, or if you use open gate sensor mode that you already fully utilize uh, vertical pixels that you don't need to crop left and right side. So for this case would be very simple. After you apply the effect, for example here, you see the edge being stretched. So you just need to add another node after it to zoom in. So you can use transform effect and apply some zooming to crop out the stretch. Then you are good to go. And more importantly is the second scenario. So let's reverse the zooming. What I'm showing here is a footage shot on Sony a7 IV and Laser Talon 1.5x anamorphic lens. So actually to output at 2.4 ratio, there are some footage being cropped out on the side. There should be some extra footage that we can use, and we don't need to, so that we don't need to zoom in to lose a field of view. I'm going to show you how to do it, and the order is very important. So normally I would de-squeeze my footage in the media pool, in the footage attributes, just set to 1.5. But the downside is that when you're in the color node, color page, it cannot read the actual footage from the source. It can only read the footage already there in the timeline. So to get over it, first we need to reverse how we de-squeeze it. Change it back to square. And also we need to make sure the project setting in the image scaling, the input scaling, we have to select scale entire image to fit. Now we get full undesqueezed footage. As you can see, we actually have some more rooms on the left and right that we can use. So applying FX effect remains the same, but we need to de-squeeze the footage in the color page. This is very important. We have to de-squeeze footage manually in the timeline node. And in the timeline here, I have some template color grading node, and just add another node in the end. Let's use transform effect and use width here, doing input 1.5x. Now we don't need to crop in, and we get a little bit extra field of view. This kind of compensate the shortage of not having open gate sensor mode. Now there's another thing you need to change. Let's go back to the Anamorphic FX node. Right here you see a setting called input squeeze ratio. Because right now the effect is reading. Let's turn off the squeeze first. Let's go back to clip and the Anamorphic FX node. So right now this plugin is actually reading the raw image like this. Effect range actually will be off because there are a lot of extra blank space and we need to de-squeeze after. So that we have to change the input squeeze settings to compensate that. We have to change it to 1.5x, so the plugin would now correctly calculate how much effect to apply horizontally. Now all the different effects can be applied correct amount across x-axis and y-axis. For all the effects here are very straightforward and self-explanatory. The first one is edge compression. So this one is inspired by while I was developing like how to compensate the vintage scope over edge compression. So we can add some artificial compression to simulate the vintage anamorphic look. Just adding slightly that gives some characters and without making it look dizzy. Next we have barrel distortion. So for most settings here, there are three main there are common patterns. There are three settings. One is strings, one is range, and one is fall off, or sometimes call it bias. So the range that is where effect the area percentage of area the effect will apply to, and the bias or fall off, it is controls the fall off, the transition of the effect. Like we want to, for example, we want the very edge have the strongest effect and smooth out when moving to the center. So in this way, we can keep the center of the frame completely clean. This is where we put the face or people are. And there's barrel distortion effect, smearing effect, chromatic aberration, and vignetting. So I think the most advantage of this plugin is that it can easily apply the different multiple effects and transit smoothly from edge to the center. Feel free to try them out and DM me if you have any question or have any problems using it. Thank you.